Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. Today we are on episode number 2 of our continuing podcast series, The Perils Facing the African Continent. The title of today's topic or episode is The Conflicts and Wars in Africa. I'll share with you basically the contemporary security situation across the continent. As promised in the last episode, I will demonstrate this scenario by doing a quick scan of the continent. You are aware Africa has numerous challenges, but I will pick just one indicator, that of conflicts and war situation across Africa, using the analogy of a human body to explain the sad realities that reflects doom for the continent and potentially an existential threat to the survival of states in Africa. Let me begin with the head, that is North Africa. At times, this region is also referred to be as part of what we call Middle East and North Africa, the MENA region. You will also hear some portions of North Africa referred to as the Arab-Maghreb Union. The region is considered as prosperous as it contributes a third of African continent's GDP. The countries in North Africa are still recovering from the effects of Arab Springs of 2010-2011. This was a revolutionary movement that rippled across the Middle East and North Africa region. It began with Tunisia and impacted across the entire North Africa region, causing numerous deaths and displacement. Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt were the most affected. In the case of Libya, it descended into civil war, a war from which it is yet to recover even today. Other factors that are causing conflict in North Africa include terrorism, religious extremism, interstate tensions among the countries of the region, including those over the recognition of Western Sahara. In North Africa, Libya remains the epicenter of the conflict in the region. The country is divided between rival governments in Tripoli and Sirte, primarily driven by competing functions with backing from external powers. Libya is also a major corridor for African migrants who transit to Europe. In Morocco, there have been reports of the presence of terrorist cells linked to groups such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Basically, they are forming in that region in the Rif Mountains. West Africa and Sahel countries overlap due to the geographic positioning. Currently, the region is facing a new rise of violent extremism and terrorism, particularly from groups like Boko Haram or Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, abbreviated JNIM, Al-Qaeda affiliates, and other terror groups. This has caused widespread instability in the entire region. According to the Global Terrorism Index of 2024, compiled by the Institute of Economics and Peace, identifies the Sahel as the new epicenter of terrorism, with Burkina Faso ranked first, signaling a troubling shift from the Middle East to sub-Saharan Africa of that epicenter. Countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have seen a dramatic increase in attacks, with Burkina Faso alone reporting a 400% increase in terrorist-related violence between 2016 and 2021. For the Sahel region, as of 2024, over 18,000 people have been killed and more than 5.6 million people have been displaced due to the violent conflicts. Nigeria, a nation of over 230 million people, struggles with poverty, which stands at 40% plus, and challenges of economic stability. There is also issues of tension between communities, and of course Boko Haram and ISIS West Africa. There's also interstate tension between Nigeria and Chad as a result of the ongoing effort on counterterrorism. These issues are deeply interconnected, affecting the overall stability and development of the region. The Horn of Africa and Greater Eastern Africa, together they comprise about 19 countries, and the region continues to suffer the brunt of the ongoing impact of conflicts and political instability, particularly due to civil wars and inter-ethnic violence. In Ethiopia, which is still recovering from the Tigray War of 2020-2022, which resulted in over 600,000 deaths and displaced approximately 2.5 million people, leading to a devastating humanitarian crisis. Ethiopia still has several insurgencies, like in the Amhara region, is still ongoing. Somalia, which has not known peace since its independence, and more so after the collapse of Barre regime in 1991, continues to remain a weak state. And this is due to conflict and terrorism. Somalia is the epicenter of Al-Shabaab activities in the region. The Horn of Africa, which overlooks Bab el-Mandeb choke point across the Red Sea, and the protracted civil war in Yemen, has become a cause of regional stability, with arms smuggling to Somalia, Eritrea, and Sudan fueling the conflicts further. Sudan, which has experienced civil war since 2023, the war being between Sudan Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces, has led to over 150,000 deaths. This figure varies. Displaced 12 million people, left 8 million people on the brink of starvation, and 25 million people are suffering from food insecurity by November 2024. Chad, already impacted by spillover violence from Darfur conflict, has faced internal instability since 2021 death of the longtime president Idris Deby. We now move to Central Africa and Great Lakes region. This comprises about 9 countries, and the region has ongoing conflicts and instability fueled by armed groups, ethnic violence, and political unrest, particularly in countries like Democratic Republic of Congo, Central African Republic, and Cameroon. Currently, the M23 offensive, which in January and February has led to the group capturing both Goma and Bukavu, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. This conflict has involved other countries, Rwanda, Uganda, DRC, Burundi, among several others, and therefore the risk of regionalizing of the conflict and a possible third Congo war if the situation is not handled well. Last part of the body we'll discuss is the limbs, which is basically Southern Africa. At first glance, one can say that the South African region is relatively calm. Yet beneath the surface lies deep-rooted structural issues that could trigger significant instability. The region is contending with unresolved land distribution problems. South Africa, for instance, has a legacy of land inequality, with 72% of agricultural land still in the hands of white farmers. This is despite efforts of land reforms in the country. Another problem in the South is xenophobia, which is a growing issue, particularly in South Africa, where violent anti-immigrant attacks have been witnessed in the recent years, partly due to unemployment, which in some areas are reported to be as high as 70%. Zimbabwe political and economic instability has led to widespread poverty, unemployment, and civil unrest. In Mozambique, the post-election violence in late 2024 led to displacement of thousands of people. The country also is impacted by terrorism in its northern region since 2017, that is Cabo Delgado region. The situation, as in other parts of Africa, is worrisome. In conclusion, after scanning the continent of Africa through the analogy of the human body, it is clear that the body is battered, dysfunctional, and uncoordinated. Every part, North, West, East, Central, and Southern Africa, appears to be in critical condition, marked by ongoing conflicts, wars, and instability. The interconnectedness of these conflicts and crises paints a grim picture for a continent struggling to survive. If Africa were a person, it would be transitioning from high dependency unit to intensive care unit, desperately needing urgent attention. And that attention can only come from us, the citizens of the continent. In the next episode, we will delve into the root causes of these persistent issues, examining the deep-seated challenges that have perpetuated Africa's struggles and hindered its progress. This journey to understand Africa's complexities is just a beginning, and the solutions are more urgent than ever. Please subscribe and promote this channel if you want to be part of this dialogue. Thank you.